I know you're working on a ton of stuff right now, but I want to go back to the very beginning. Tell me a little bit about like childhood, Bruna, like growing up in Brazil. What was your experience like? What was kind of your surroundings and influences at a pretty early age?
Oh, I grew up in church. Basically, my whole family is Christian, so I would go to church basically every single day. And so I would do theater at the church, I would
Hmm.
sing at the church, I would do everything with them. So that was pretty much a Christian childhood. It was, I think like my childhood was completely different than
Hmm.
everyone else who lived in Brazil.
Hmm.
It could be way cooler, but
Yeah.
but I was a church girl.
Yeah, I grew up in church as well,
Really?
and yeah, not in Brazil, but yeah, I grew up in church as well, and that's where picked up a camera for the first time, started kind of exercising some of the talents and things that I had, and it's an interesting way to grow up because you do, like you said, it's different than everybody around you, but it gives you a lot of unique perspectives and influences and
And I feel
inspirations
like
later on.
a lot of people in the industry started like at church, would
Yeah.
sing at church or do theater, like dance. I would dance. I would do everything at church.
So you were encouraged, it sounds like, pretty early on to pursue that stuff. It wasn't like, no, it wasn't like Footloose where it's like, you can't go dance, you can't go do this. It was like, yeah, test it out, see what you're good at, see what you can do.
Yeah.
Were there any influencers or celebrities or performers that really captured your attention at an early age that you were trying to mimic or replicate?
I had like some Brazilian singers that I was
Mhm.
in love, and we have soap operas in Brazil, like it's
Yeah.
a huge thing. And I remember I would be like doing the scenes in front of the mirror, like by myself, using my
Yeah.
mom's clothes and makeup. But when I was a teenager, I got obsessed about Britney Spears.
Okay.
Like I'm still like free Britney, let's go. Um, and I remember I was crazy about her. I would do everything
Hmm.
like Britney. And in 2006, when she was going through all that thing, I was like, Mom, if she dies, I'll die too. But I think she's amazing. I think the biggest thing about Britney was to me was like it really got me in alert about how my career could go, and it
Hmm.
could go bad as well.
Yeah.
So since I was really young, I was like, yo, this could end up like Britney.
Right.
So yeah, so it helped me in that sense. And I think she's amazing, even though like everything she went through.
Stepping into that world a little bit because you obviously started acting in Brazil and ended up working in with soap opera directors there and working your way up as an actress in that country. Like, tell me a little bit just about the experience of going from being a consumer of entertainment to actually trying to get into the industry. Like,
Yeah.
was it more challenging than expected? Were there things that, because it's all magic when you're on one side of the screen and sometimes it can't be on the other side. What were those first steps like?
Oh, it's terrible. Oh my God. But I feel like I always tell my friends, if you don't love it, if you can imagine yourself doing anything else, please do.
Yeah.
Just go, be happy, because this is not what people think it is. But it was, of course, challenging. But at the same way, I think I was pretty much blessed because I'm good. I know that's crazy to say, but I am. And so, like, I had opportunities, and every opportunity that I had, I got it because
Hmm.
I knew what I was doing, I went to school as an actress. Like, first of all, I went to school, I think is the first step. And at the school, at the beginning, was really difficult.
Hmm.
I was like, what am I doing here? I can't do this. Because I was raised in church.
Yeah.
And that, like in theater, at least in Brazil, you start to do theater in Brazil, everybody's naked.
Hmm.
And you have to free your body, and you have to, and I was
That
like,
doesn't go over well in church for sure.
right. And I
Yeah.
was like, no, I can't do that. And it took me a while to really like let it go and
Hmm.
open myself as an actress.
Yeah.
And when I started to do it, when I switched, like was amazing. And then I
Hmm.
started like, okay, I'm good. I can do it. And then I discovered myself in comedy, which it's what I really do. So it
Yeah.
was easy to me in that
Yeah.
part.
What was it about comedy specifically that kind of appealed to you?
That's terrible for me to say because I think what really appeals to me is that I'm good.
Hmm.
It's like I love to do it because it's natural to me. Like
Hmm.
if I say drama, I can do drama,
Hmm.
but the way I do drama, I always use my past experience to build the character and everything. And I go through a lot of pain to do that. It's
Yeah.
really painful to me to do drama because of that. And comedy just comes out. I love to talk to people. And I think the most beautiful thing about comedy is like you can change somebody's day,
Hmm.
like making them laugh and forget about that problem they have, like at least if it's for 1 minute, but
Yeah.
you made it. And growing up, I had like really tough moments, like in my childhood, that I remember myself watching comedy, and
Hmm.
I would love it. I would laugh, and that would give me hope. So I wanted to do the same thing for people. And when I discovered that I could do that easily, I was like, yo, I'm good at this. I'm gonna
Yeah.
do this. I can do that for people, and I'm good. I don't
Yeah.
have to suffer because I thought for me to be an actress, I had to do drama. In
Hmm.
Brazil, you do a lot of drama, like comedy. Now it's more stronger, but in the past it wasn't like it is in America. So you had to do drama. And when I figured I could do comedy and it would be natural for me, it
Yeah.
was, I
So it's
love
kind of
it.
been just following your natural talents and going like,
Mhm.
okay, I feel stronger in this area. I'll just follow that and kind of pursue
Yes,
that. Yeah.
yes.
I love that you mentioned, because I wanted to ask you, before we even jumped on, I was thinking about the spiritual feeling of creating, because that's something that, I grew up religious. So I understand like these feelings.
Yeah,
We have these spiritual moments, and
yeah,
the closest thing to that outside of, I guess, religion has been creativity for me. It's like when you
yeah,
create something that works, it's a spiritual experience. When you watch something, sometimes sitting in a movie theater, you're like, am I sitting in church? Because there's this kind of spiritual connection between you and what's happening on screen.
yeah.
Um, you know, when's the first time you remember having a spiritual experience performing?
Wow, performing. Let me think. I think was when I did my first theater play.
Hmm.
Um, I never felt like that. That's crazy because the closest feeling I had like that one was in church
Yeah.
when you literally give yourself completely. And at the theater, I really had that wow. And before acting, I remember I saw this movie until today. It's my favorite movie, Black Swan.
Mm. Yeah.
And I got obsessed. Like when I was watching that movie, I was like, the way she gave herself, of course, in like crazy way. She dies.
Right.
If
Yeah.
you guys didn't watch the movie, but she dies, and the way she gave herself, I was like, that's what I want to do. Not dying, but that's I don't want to hold myself in anything, even though if it's church. Now my stand-up comedy is about church.
Hmm.
My slogan is like I'm Christian, and then
Yeah.
I say the terrible things I do as a Christian girl, but I'm Christian. So, but I don't want to hold myself. I don't want to be like I can't do this or that because I'm Christian. When I watched that movie, it helped me understand, even though my religion and everything, I can just be this character right now and give everything.
There's a movie from the 30s, called The Red Shoes, which is a really beautiful movie. And there's a line in it where they ask this dancer, "Why do you want to dance?" And she asks, "Why do you want to live?" And it's this thing of,
Wow.
like, I
Wow.
have to perform, I have to do this. It's something that's part of me, and to feel that strongly about it is a powerful thing. But also, growing up in this religious bubble, you joke in your stand up about, changing lyrics to Britney Spears songs around your mom, and all these kind of things. Um,
And that's
the
true. It actually happened.
did did you get pushback from them at all? As like, hey, just don't cross this line, or hey, we're worried that you're doing this type of performance or this type of comedy?
No. But
Hmm.
a funny thing is like yesterday I still posted like a stories that because I have this joke that I say I grew up in a very tough Christian family and my mom would go to church so many times that even the pastor was trying to avoid her.
Yeah.
And, and now I posted the video yesterday because my mom became a pastor herself. So nobody can stop that woman of going to church.
It's the
But
next logical step. Yeah.
exactly. I think I would have like this thing about people trying, like my mom mostly trying to stop me of not going that far with
Hmm.
comedy, with stand up about church, but she doesn't speak English. She has no idea what I'm talking about. If you say hi to my mom, she'll be like, she has no idea. So that's good for me. And the church I'm in now, it's online. I'm part of Transformation Church.
Mm-hmm.
And I watch it like every Sunday online because they are in Tulsa. So I feel like they don't know what I'm once my pastor watched my stories, I was almost crying. But he didn't say anything. Nobody said anything. And I honestly, like, when I write my jokes, I talk to God. I literally like, God, you know it's a joke, right? That's funny. You think it's funny too. You
Yeah.
know I'm right. You know I'm talking the truth. And before I go on stage, I pray. I literally every single time I'd be like, God, please hold my hand. But I learned how to treat it like it's my job.
Yeah.
You know, that it's my job. Like, it is what it is.
Do you have any lines for yourself where you go like, because this is one thing about comedians, you know, the more that I listen to comedians and follow comedians, there's like, they're always pushing the envelope on different areas. And also they tell the truth through comedy, which is, you know, there's some things you talk about in your stand-up, you know, like you said that, you know, the church doesn't care about the size of your butt. It's like the size of your wallet, you know, like that kind of thing. Like, do you have anything for you where you're like, I don't want to cross this line, or I feel like there's this like tiptoe or balance around this, or is it kind of, if it's funny, it's funny?
It's crazy because like when you write your own material, I write like comedy skits as well and everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm writing and I'm like, yo, you know, you're gonna act in the shit, right? That's your face there.
Right.
You're gonna say those lines.
Like delete, delete, delete.
Like, it's you. You're not selling the script to nobody else. It's your face. I I used to, like, I still have a lot of material that I never tried that I
Mhm.
write and I'd be like, so when I'm ready, I'll do it. And I'm
Yeah.
not ready yet, but it's there. Every time I have something on my mind, I just write everything. But
Mhm.
I don't do it like until like even more about past relationships and everything. I'd be like, this person might suit me yet. Let me wait a minute. But I'm trying not to. I have one joke that I tell that sometimes I feel like kind of shy to say, and I'm like, sometimes I do it. Sometimes if I'm feeling more like not secure enough,
Yeah.
I don't do it. It depends on the audience as well, because when I start going a sexual way and talking about church in the same time, I see how they receive it.
Yeah.
But I have this joke that I say like because I say I left when I moved to America. Um, I don't know. I say something about black men. If I'm not supposed to have sex before marriage, why did God create black men? And then I say that. And at some point I say like, and the craziest thing that when I had sex for the first time after I left church is that it turns out I realized I don't know how to fuck. Because we don't do some things in church, you
Yeah.
know? And that joke, it's not every time I do it. Sometimes I feel like shy. I'm like, I don't, they're gonna believe it. And some things it's not even true. It's just, it's funny. It's my
Yeah.
job to sit in front of my laptop and say, what would be funny?
Right.
But people take some things like really seriously. So sometimes I'd be like, I shouldn't go there.
Right. Yeah. You got to gauge them on the first couple jokes for sure.
And
Yeah.
feel how they receive it. And
Yeah.
then
Well, speaking of comfort zones, like you obviously were having success in Brazil and working with some really talented people. What prompted you to say, okay, LA? Because talk about jumping from one thing to another. I mean, it's LA. Like there's so many people every day flying to LA hoping that they're gonna, you know, have some kind of luck in that city, you know. What made you leave the comfort zone of, you know, seeing success to trying to pursue something completely new?
wait. You want the real long version or
I
you want
want
like the short, let's
Let's go real long version.
oh shit, you asked me. So first of all, a breakup. Like I
Mm,
needed to get over, like to leave a relationship, but actually it wasn't his fault. It was his fault. Anyways, I always wanted to go to move to LA. I had
mhm,
this dream. Like I came here once to to visit LA, and it was at the time that like Wonder Woman has just
mm.
like dropped, and like she's not from here, and she kind of have an accent and something like that. And I was like, I started to see some things of Sofia Vergara because people came to me and say like, "Yo, your comedy kind of reminds me of Sofia Vergara." I was like, "Who is that?"
Yeah.
I had that in my mind, and I remember it was like 2000 something. It was a long time ago. I sent an email to this acting school and they asked me to audition, and I was approved. But
Hmm.
I didn't want to go. I was like, I'm in a relationship. If I leave this man here and go to LA, like it's not lasting, it's not gonna happen. So I stayed. I was like, next year, maybe
Yeah.
next year. I'm working here. It's amazing. Like, why do you have to go? But that thing would never leave my mind. And one day happened that I was doing like routines, exams. That's how you call exams. I don't know, tests, like blood tests and everything.
Yeah.
And I got to know that I had a tumor in my
Hmm.
left kidney. It was a benign tumor. I was okay. The problem was that tumor was there for a long time. So if I would fall in a different way, it could break inside me and I would
Hmm.
bleed to death like in 30 minutes. So
Jeez.
I had this bomb inside me. And when this happened, I was like, yo, I could just die any moment and I'm not doing what I
Hmm.
really want to do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not happy. It's cool and all, but I always have this on my mind and I'm not doing. And this was like kind of in April or something. And by September, I was in LA. I was like,
Wow.
I just packed everything. I was like, I'm so sorry. I gotta do it. And the relationship ended as I knew. And it is what it is. I had to do, I feel like it was a wake up call.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, like if you're not fully happy. If I would die today, I would be happy
Yeah.
because I'm trying, I did what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So that's
Well, there's that what if, it's that like, what if I didn't do it or what if I didn't try it, and it's obviously it sucks to fail at something or it sucks if it doesn't go right. But I think it's worse to know like, could I have made it or could I have done this or would I have been happier doing this? And, just pursuing it. And again, like, even if even if something doesn't work out or you don't achieve exactly what you thought, or it's a different path, like it's
yeah.
still better than the alternative of wondering.
100%, 100%. And I wasn't just like following my dream because of someone else. It wasn't even
Yeah.
because of me,
Yeah.
So, yeah, bye. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, adjusting there, I mean, and you've obviously already had some success being in LA, and I mean, Netflix is a joke, like that's crazy. Like a year
That's
in, like
great. You
doing.
have no idea. That was my third stand-up comedy show ever.
How scared were you?
I was dying. Like I
Yeah.
have the tape of that day. I posted like one really, really small clip, but I
Yeah.
hate it. I hate it because me, Bruna, I know like that inside I was like, Jesus Christ, what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
It was amazing, but I was scared to death.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, was, jumping into stand up. I mean, obviously, I think it's the number one fear is public speaking. Second is death, So like, what is it, when you're going out for the first time? Because stand up to me, like, and it's something, total coward here. Like,
Mhm.
a friend and I in Vegas always talk about like,
Doing it.
trying stand up, and not because like I'm one of those people that thinks like, oh, I could do it, and I'll go, but it's just to see if we could, like, if there's
Yeah.
something we could do. But it's terrifying. Like the idea of, if you're giving a speech and it's serious, that's fine. If you're waiting for someone to laugh at a joke and it's crickets, that's got
Terrible.
to be the scariest thing ever. How did you get yourself on stage the first time? Like, what were this?
Um,
Was it just a lot of throwing up and then walking up there, or was
I
it?
blacked out. I don't
Yeah.
remember anything.
Mm,
I saw my friend tape it for me, but when I left the stage, I didn't remember anything I
mm,
had said. Like I don't know, I didn't know what happened. I just remember people laughing. But I always wanted to do stand up. In
mm,
Brazil, I didn't have time because I was working other projects. I didn't have time to start. But when I moved to America, I wanted so much because here in LA is so strong. This is stronger than it is in Brazil. And
mm,
I would go to the Laugh Factory by myself to watch stand up. I would buy tickets to my friends to come with me to the Laugh Factory, to the comedy store. Like, just come, I bought the ticket, no problem, let's go.
yeah.
I would go all the time, but I always was like, that's not for me because of
Mm,
my English. I have a thick accent, and I was like, people won't like me.
yeah.
Like I'm not American. It doesn't make sense. Until one day I have this friend, she's a Russian, she's from Russia, and she has an accent as well, not strong like mine, but and she does a stand up. And one day I came to her, I was like, yo, I admire you so much. You're so amazing. You're doing it. I think it's amazing. As a woman, it's even like it's so difficult to open up like that. And I told her like I always wanted to do, but I don't think it's for me. And one day, and she was like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." And one day, out of nowhere, she was like, "Bruna, I have this show. I'm producing the show. If you want to come and do 3 minutes, just do it for fun." And I was like, whatever. And I was like, "Oh, what?" What? I was screaming in this studio. I was running, screaming, like, "Oh my God!"
What do I do?
And it was in the
Yeah.
same week, and I was like, "Oh my God!" And I just answered her, "Yes, of course, why not?" But inside, I was dying, and I did it, and I did really good. It was really good. Everyone was laughing. I don't know if they were just nice because it was my first time. Which is the thing. I did the first time, it was amazing. And then I booked another show after, right after. I sent the tape of my first time and I booked another show and I was like, I'm so
I
good.
got this. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Like, oh my God, thank you so much for giving me so much talent. I don't even have to try or do open mics. I just do shows. And I completely bombed. Completely bombed. Like in my mind, I completely bombed because I know how the show could be. Like,
Yeah.
you already know how it can go. And then I was like, oh, I'm good, but
Yeah.
let's work on this. But yeah.
Yeah. So how did the Netflix is a joke thing happen then? Because that was your third time up.
Yes.
Was there any part of you that's like, I don't know, I bombed last time. I don't know if this is
So,
gonna be a good idea.
so this time that I think it was terrible.
Hmm.
Uh the guy who was hosting the Netflix a joke show in that the one that I did, he went to watch a friend of his. And he saw my set and he was like, I have nothing like that in that show, the show I'm doing, because it was all this about church and how I'm Christian and the songs of Britney Spears and everything. And he loved it. I hate it. I swear to God, I think it's one of the worst shows I ever done in my life. I've never looked back. I have the tape, I never watched it. But I booked the Netflix a joke in that show.
Wow. That's super cool. That's super
Yeah.
cool.
I
So
was just in the right place in the right time with the right person in the room.
yeah, well, just going and doing it. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
So what are some of the biggest influences on the comedy side? Because I know you mentioned like, people were saying, oh, you're like Sofia Vergara's, humor here, like, and who's that? Was there like a learning curve? Because I don't know. I mean, we were in India for a little while, and it's
Yeah.
interesting what comes from America out to India versus
Yeah.
like what's popular there. Like,
Yeah.
were you aware of, I mean, like, were you watching Dave Chappelle? Were you watching these different comedians? Or was it something where it's like a quick learning curve of like, okay, who's popular stand up? Let me learn this art form. Like, what was kind of that process like?
I hate that you asked me that because I have to say that I didn't know who Dave Chappelle was until this year.
Wow.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Uh, he's not. We don't talk about him in Brazil.
Did you have any stand ups that were super popular in Brazil that
We
were
do,
like
but like Brazilian
the
stand-up
Brazilian stand up comics? Yeah. There
not
was
American.
nobody. I've noticed that like even I've heard I've listened to a couple shows where like comedians will talk about even going to like England, like they'll go there and they're like, we're not English stand-up comic. Like it's so interesting how comedy is such a cultural thing that like it doesn't travel unless you're like, massive. Like there's like very few comedians that like seem to have
Yeah,
worldwide fame.
100%. Like in
Yeah.
Brazil, we have stand-up comedians. We have really, really good comedians, which was like they were my influence
Yeah.
to the comedy. But it's like a
A
bubble,
bubble. Yeah.
like I was just watching them. I knew Kevin Hart because of his movies, not because of his
Right.
stand-up. I
Yeah.
didn't know he would do stand-up. I had no clue. I
Yeah.
watched his movies, and Dave Chappelle, I had no idea who he was. Now every week, at least once a week, I watch one of his stand-ups.
Yeah.
I'm completely obsessed about that man. I think he's a genius. And Sofia Vergara, I never watched Modern Family. When people started to tell me a lot of that, even more when I moved here, I was like, I think it's better for me not to watch because
Right.
people are already saying that like they have something there. I don't want to feel like I'm copying her. I think she's
Exactly.
amazing and everything, but I never watched. I watched one movie of her in Brazil when people first told me that. It's a movie with Reese Witherspoon, I
Hmm.
think. But after that, I didn't watch anything. I was like, when I moved here, I got a lot from teachers and everything. I was like, hey, I think it's better not to.
Better not to know.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of that, because you mentioned Dave Chappelle, you watch a lot of him, and I'm sure there's other people on that list that you would go through and watch quite a bit. Do you have any fear of that on the comedy side of going like, I don't want to start copycatting even on accident, like I don't want to watch something, forget I watched it, and then right?
Honestly, that thing about Sophia, 100%,
Yeah,
because people already point that. So I'm okay. I love that I can say like I never watch anything of her. So
yeah,
I'm not trying. But Dave Chappelle, I think like I wish I could copy him. I think
hmm,
it's impossible.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
impossible. It's just impossible. I think watching him helps me to open my mind about what comedy can be like. Like one day I was doing this show, I'm not gonna say where because people might know what it is, but and I'm not saying my comedy is there. I don't think it's there like at all, but I try to make a point about things. And we had this headliner, he's super funny, don't get me wrong. And the audience was cracking, laughing about like with him. I had like 15 minutes on stage, he had 30, and everyone loved him. He's great. But basically, his 30 minutes was talking about like shaving his balls.
Hmm.
How it is. And it's funny. I get it's funny. People were drinking it. It's funny. But when you get Dave Chappelle, what he's talking about, that's where I want to
Mhm.
go. So I think watching Dave Chappelle helps me to open more my mind and be like, it's not just about this that is funny.
Yeah.
Like you can open more, and that's what I want to be. So that's why I keep watching him, because it's so easy for me, like just go on stage and be talking about sex, and
Hmm.
it is funny and there's nothing wrong. I just want to be more and do more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
That the shock humor is great. And there's comedians that crush it and do that. But it is cool with any art form, I think, to be able to open a wider discussion about social issues. And it's the comedians that I think have the longest staying power. You have Chappelle or Carlin or these guys that would use comedy as a bridge to talk about something that you can't talk about, especially issues of religion or politics or fill in the blank, whatever topic you want to put there.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at some point I want to go like deeper in church. I
Hmm.
don't think I'm still ready,
Yeah.
but I'm ready yet. But at some point I want to be, and because I was raised in
Yeah.
church and I saw so many wrong things
Yeah.
going on, and then I can't talk about. I think like I feel I just didn't went there yet, because one of the most difficult things in LA is like at stage time.
Hmm.
It's really, really difficult for you to have 15 minutes in a stage in LA. It's like
Yeah.
you're the person. It's really difficult. So you have to go for like for the things that is right.
Yeah.
This works, but at some point when I start getting more stage time and everything, I want to go deeper in that shit because there's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
My mom would hate me, but she doesn't
Well,
understand. I hope nobody translates my stand up to her
well, if you ever get your Netflix special, she'll have subtitles. So then you're
when
screwed.
when
when when when you get.
when.
I only say if because it could be HBO, it could be Showtime. There's other
Okay, I got it.
places. So there
Okay,
you
okay,
go.
okay, okay, okay,
Um,
got it. Makes sense.
but no, I mean, so obviously you've got the stand-up side. Is when you first came to LA, you started doing acting school as well. Like, is it something where you'd like to do both of those things? Is stand up the one route now, and you were testing act? Like, where do you feel like that's gonna land, or is it kind of just following whatever door opens up?
Yeah, as long as it's comedy,
Hmm.
I'm doing both. I
Yeah.
love both. I love acting. One of my big goals is like being a sitcom. I love sitcoms because kind of live with live audience and everything.
Hmm.
I love this, to like have the feeling with the audience. I love acting as well, and I don't think like I don't know if I can choose. I want to do both. I
Yeah.
both, but I know it's comedy. I
Yeah.
know that's what I love to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's really cool. Yeah. It is funny. I was just thinking about, because you were talking about religion, and that's something that, whenever I'm talking about doing it, that's the topics that I could talk the most about, because like you, I saw a lot of things that weren't great. And there's so much material there that I don't hear comedians talk about, but it's also one of the things like I'm like, put that camera away if I'm going to get up and do it. Like, I don't want that leaking
Exactly.
out. Because there's a lot of crazy stuff we could talk about for sure.
So
Um,
many, like
but
honestly, about church, about God, and like I have
yeah,
so many questions.
yeah,
Like, and like, it would be funny because nobody's asking those questions, even more
yeah,
on stage, you know.
yeah.
And I get comedians, we end up going to the safe space because
Hmm.
you have to be funny, you have to make that people laugh. You know,
Right.
you're not Dave Chappelle who goes there and starts
Yeah,
talking about whatever you want and it's genius. Like you have to
yeah. And you
do
have to worry about losing people too, because if they don't have that shared experience or they have a passing knowledge, it's a totally different ball game.
I don't know. I got a show one day that I don't know what happened. It was just like literally like people were 60 years old. Nobody laughed in any of my jokes, not even one,
Yeah,
because I was talking about church and everything was completely
just
silent the
shut
whole
down.
time. And I saw like this old man like, yeah, like, Jesus Christ, what I'm doing here. But
That's
anyway,
funny.
yeah.
Um, well, the other thing I want to talk to you about before we hop into our random round is you've been doing a lot on social media, and I think that's a really it's crazy to me. I can't even say how many times 'cause I listen 90% of what I listen to is comedy. Like I listen to I mean, comedy podcasts all day long. Like that's what I love listening to. And it's crazy to me when I listen to a comedian I love or I hear an interview with an actor I love and I go to social media and there's like nothing there. Like they're not creating anything, any
Yeah.
kind of content there. And um number one, just tell me a little bit about just how you've kind of tackled the idea of social media. Like, have you made that a challenge for yourself as far as just creating? And then you've gotten a lot of traction on social. Like, what's been kind of the secret there to growing?
I hate it. I can't wait for me like I can't wait for me to be like famous, big or something and just give my Instagram to my manager or something and never log in again.
Mm,
I think there's a lot of pressure in social media about likes, views, but nowadays you got to do it.
hmm.
And I treat my social media as like a portfolio. That's
Yeah,
how I rather treat it, because if I treat it like as a personal thing, it gives me anxiety. So like, no,
yeah.
bro, this is work. Just post memes. My stories. If I disappear one day from my stories because I post memes the whole day, people are like, what is the memes? If I post myself. One day I went to a premiere and I was just posting myself. I didn't have time to post memes. People are like, where are the memes? I'm like,
Where's the memes? We're not here for you. Yeah.
exactly. And I was like, you have the audacity to like you're seeing my pretty face and you rather see memes. But it's amazing. People got used to it and I love it. I see social media as like a platform where you can put some ideas people wouldn't buy it. Like
Hmm.
some things I can sometimes I don't feel like that comfortable of saying on stage yet. Like I have a comedy skit that I say I'm in a restaurant reading the menu and the waiter comes to me like, oh hi, what do you need? And I'm like, what do I need? And she was like, yeah, what do you need? I was like, I need sex. I need to fuck. And I start going deep and like what I need in sex. I still don't feel safe to make these
Yeah.
jokes on stage because if people get quiet, I'll be like,
Your
so when
60 plus audience isn't going to like that.
exactly. So when you post on social media, I'm not seeing like how people are like if they're talking shit about me, if they don't like it. I mean, some people when they don't like, they come to DM me, but whatever, they're not in front of me, you know. So
No.
some ideas that I have, and I have crazy ideas. I have some scripts that I wrote, and I'm like, you're really doing this? Yeah, I'm doing this. I think it's easier to do
Mm,
because you're not in front of live audience. And it's
right.
something as a comedian and as an actor, like I feel like nowadays, basically every profession, you have to be on social media.
Yeah. Right.
So, but it
Yeah.
gives me anxiety and I want to leave.
Is the pressure mainly just like the feedback? Like, are people going to think it's funny? Is it that same feeling of like, oh, this didn't get a lot of attention or this didn't get the comments?
I think what I get, like, even more about my work, sometimes I get because I'm a writer, you know, and people think some things I take some things I say as it's my personal life,
Mm,
and it's not.
yeah.
So a lot of people, a lot of men have the completely wrong idea about me that they have no idea because of my social media.
Yeah.
And I literally ignore so many DMs of people because they think I'm like the girl who's saying they're like, I want sex. I
Yeah.
decide to be like, hey girl, what's up?
Yeah.
Like,
They're
yo,
like, perfect. I'm looking for the same thing. Right.
exactly. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yo, I'm working here.
Yeah.
Stop. Or so that's the problem for me. I think
Yeah.
people still don't know like how to put like you as a person and you working, even more when you're a
That's
comedian. I'm making fun of it.
Yeah, and also to your being so open, and it's I you know I feel this in a lot of ways. Like I've had people who've met me who listen to the other show that I do, and I
Yeah.
talk about religious trauma on my show, and I've talked a lot about personal stories that are true. I've talked with I've shared a lot over like 200 episodes,
Yes.
and I'll meet people and be having a conversation, and they'll either ask me about something or they'll tell me something
Yeah.
because they feel like they know me because they see the content I put out. And I'm like, yeah, you don't know me, or I shared that because I felt comfortable sharing it then, but doesn't mean I want to talk to you about it. It's like this weird social media is just a weird one-sided conversation where when you actually sit down and talk with somebody, like
Yeah.
they have this perception of you that may or may not be
Yeah.
accurate,
And even on stand-up, I have that joke that I said about black
Yeah.
men. If I'm not supposed to have sex before marriage, why did God create black men? When I leave the stage,
It's a line.
black men
Yeah. Yeah.
who come to talk to me and yo, what's your Instagram? What's your number? I'm like, it's
Yeah.
Bruna Portugal.
Just give them somebody else's. Yeah. What?
Yeah, people are still like, it's our profession, you know. I feel like everything comes from a place of truth.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like I see a situation or something, I'll be like, how would that be if it was in church?
Right.
If she was Christian, if this guy, and then I write.
Yeah.
But it's kind of difficult. And I feel like in social media, everyone can have access to you.
Yeah.
So that's what gives me anxiety. I'm like, all these people have no idea who I am.
Yeah.
That's like, but it's
Yeah.
my job. It's a
It's
job.
tricky for sure. And no matter what, I mean, stand up is definitely, I mean, you're pushing the envelope and, making that it's for the joke. So 80% might be true. You've got that 20% that's heightened to make it a little bit funnier, and
You get something that is truth and you exaggerate that
right.
to a level that is like, wow, this is crazy.
Right. And same with any social, I mean, any version of posting, no matter how authentic you are, there's there is a persona, and there is, if you're doing a podcast, like I'm sitting a slightly different way than I would if we're sitting at Denny's
Yeah.
talking about this, like there's this amplified version of who you are, not necessarily fake, just you're amplifying certain parts of your personality. And it's just always crazy. I
On my
told my,
social media, it's all shit. It's all
yeah,
like, it's the comedian there. I tell everyone, it's the comedian. It's me as a
yeah,
comedian. Like, I always think, what is funny for this picture? What is a funny caption to write? Like everything. What is a funny meme?
yeah,
I don't care. I just think it's funny. I'm posting,
right.
and you take it as you want. But it's all shit. I
Yeah.
cannot wait to leave that. Guys, follow me on Instagram at it's
That's so funny.
by the way.
Well, cool. Well, I'm gonna move us here into our rapid round. I keep moving this section up earlier and earlier because people always get stuck on these questions. So I like to give more and
Okay.
more time, and they tend to lead to a lot of interesting discussion. So I want to talk to you really quick and get your answer on a few of these questions. Again, there's no time limit on these, so take your
Okay.
time, think about them.
Oh my God, I'm nervous. What is that? Okay.
If you were given the green light to work on any project, what would you choose and why?
You mean like if it's a movie, if it's a stand-up, or like,
Anything. It's usually movie, but I'm going to leave it open for stand up as well in case you want to throw any stand up related options. But anything, if they said, hey, we're going to give you the money you need to do any project that you have in your mind, what would you choose to do?
oh God, wait, how much money is that? 'Cause
You're
we can
like, I have a lot of ideas. We could.
divide and put something. I have a script that I wrote. It's called Feel the Vibration.
Hmm.
And it started like as a comedy skit and then a short film, and now it's almost a feature film that I wrote about a woman first experience with a vibrator. Feel
Hmm.
the vibration. It's amazing. So I think I would do that project. But I love stand up. I would love to, yeah, whatever. Put the feel the vibration. It's a movie feature.
Perfect. if you're listening to this and you have a lot of money, there you go.
Let's go.
Perfect. What of your work so far do you think is the best representation of you as a creator? Would you say it's stand up? Is it anything you've done in your acting career? What do you think is the best representation of who you are as an artist?
I think stand up now. Because, yeah, I think stand up. I love my comedy skits. Um, I love the work I did in Brazil, but I feel right now I'm a stand up comedian mostly, like most of the time, and I
Hmm,
love it. So I think stand up.
cool. What's a
I
what's a
hate
mo-
these questions, by the way.
Good. That's why they're here. What's a movie that fans of yours would be surprised to know that you enjoy? So you love comedy. Is there a certain movie or television show that you enjoy that people would be shocked to know that you
I'll say
like?
like my favorite movie is Black Swan, which
Hmm.
is a really dramatic movie.
Yeah, not a lighthearted comedy for sure.
At all. So I think maybe that I love that movie Sunset Boulevard as
Hmm.
well. It's one of my favorites. So basically my favorite movies are drama.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But would you ever be interested in working in that realm at all, or is it something where?
I would 100%, but it had to be like the part of my life. Like the character has to be the biggest. I wouldn't do just a small thing in drama because it really it's it's close to Black Swan thing. It really takes everything from me when I'm
Hmm.
doing drama. It hurts me. It's a painful process to me to do drama. So it
Is,
had to be that part, you know.
yeah. Is comedy ever a painful process? Because you're still pulling on similar memories and similar
Yeah.
experiences, but does it just soften the blow a little bit?
Yes, it does. It is
Hmm.
not painful at all. Sometimes it's shameful, but not painful. I'm just like, I don't know, because when you write comedy, I always go in some subjects in comedy when I feel I'm ready to
Hmm.
talk about it. Some things I know that already happened to me that I don't even talk about on stage yet.
Yeah.
I just process everything. And when I can see from outside and laugh about
Yeah.
that situation, I'm like, okay, I'm writing about it.
Yeah. And then there's always the moment where you think something's really funny, and then everyone looks at you like, that sounds horrible.
All
Not
the
good.
time, people are like, Bruna, you're sick. I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yes,
That's,
thank you. Come to my show. Perfect.
that's like,
What do you think is the best decade of movie history? Like, if you had to watch a decade of movies, what would your go-to be?
oh, that's terrible because I didn't watch. I have a problem to watching like old movies.
Hmm.
I love to watch what is new, what is coming out
Except for
every.
Sunset Boulevard.
Yes, so Sunset Boulevard. What happened? I was in acting school, and my teacher played in the in our class, so I had to watch it, and I love it. I have
Hmm.
like, wait, it's right here. The
Oh,
DVD is right.
thank
I
you.
love it. I love it, and I'm obsessed about Marilyn Monroe.
Hmm.
So when was it?
She would be 50 something.
Yeah, I literally
Yeah.
have a frame of her on top of my bedroom. So like whenever Marilyn was alive, I think she was amazing.
What was it about Marilyn's? Was it just her performing? Was it her persona? Like,
So what I think about what I love about her that I still bring to my comedy even more when I do comedy skits and everything. She was this sexy but is still sweet and innocent. So if you watch all my comedy skits, I can be like saying all this crazy shit, but I'm always in the innocent part. I'm like, what do you mean? Like I'm always so I love how she could shift. Like even though she was so sexy, she was so innocent at the same time.
hmm,
I think that's amazing. Even when I go on stage, people always say like, Bruna, you're so likable. Like you sing terrible things, but you sound so innocent when you say that. And that's what I love about her. I think she's
hmm,
a genius for doing that.
hmm. Yeah, I'm excited for Blonde, the new movie coming out. Yeah, it
I
looks
don't know
really
if I am. I'm kind of like, oh, I
a
hope
little
it's good.
dark.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, I hope it's good because I never saw anyone like who can literally even get a little bit close to what she was. And I
Yeah,
love Anna. I think Anna is
yeah.
amazing. But let's see. Let's see. I'm
It
gonna watch.
looks great. I mean, she looks like she killed it, but it's the same thing. I mean, it's the same thing as Elvis. You know, when I saw the trailer, I was like, we'll see if someone can
What did
really
you
embody him.
think about it?
I loved it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was blown away. I
but
because
I cried so much.
when it dropped when the trailer dropped for Elvis, I was like, because I was like everybody else, like I saw him and I was like, he doesn't look exactly like him.
Yeah.
But I told my wife when we saw the trailer, I was like, because she said kind of the same thing, and I was like, but I said it matters that he can embody who Elvis was more than look
Yeah.
just like him. There's tons of Elvis impersonators that look like him who wouldn't be able
Yeah.
to act at all. And
Right.
same with Marilyn Monroe. The difference is, I mean, Ana de Armas looks exactly like Marilyn Monroe, which is crazy in the trailer for sure.
Not
Like
exactly, but
pretty darn close.
close, but not exactly. I'm a big fan, so I'm like, "Huh." I'm those annoying fans. Like, actually, she she
But
does that.
yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what happens, and hopefully, I mean, if it's as good as Elvis, I'll be happy. So
I hope it's good. I hope it's good.
yeah,
I really
definitely.
hope it's good.
Um, what is the number one piece of advice you would give to an aspiring artist that is listening to this? You may have given it away in the beginning where you said if you'd rather do anything else,
That's
do that.
exactly what I would say.
But,
If you can see yourself doing something else, just do. Like, don't do
mm,
this, please. But if this is what you want to do, I would say like, because for me a long time, even more when I moved here, I was at the beginning I was trying to fit in America, and
mhm,
then I realized no, they already have enough of them. That's not who I need to be. So I would say like nobody's you, and that's your power.
mm,
Just embrace who you are. That's where you can be successful. Just use whatever you went through, how you look like, the way your voice sounds, your accent. If you're an immigrant, just that's what makes you unique.
mm. Yeah, how do you I guess on the flip side of that, like that confidence, because I think a lot of times we gauge what's good by what we know, right? So if we see somebody that's great, or we see a lot of people that sound a certain way, and I think, I mean, now is an incredibly diverse time in comedy. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
there's so many different people. Like, you know, I mean, there's Bobby Lee, there's Andrew Santino, there's like, you know, there's all these people that are. I mean, Whitney Cummings is completely different than, you know. There's a broad range of
yeah.
voices out there. Um, you know, when you have those moments where you're going like, okay, I'm the only person I know that would say this way. Like, how do you find the confidence to go like, I'm going to go out there and try this, even though I don't have any reference for whether or not this works? Like, this is the first, you know?
So that's the thing. It used to be a huge problem to me because I used
Hmm.
to try to fit, but
Yeah.
at some point I realized I don't want to be like the second of somebody else. I want to
Yeah.
be the
Right.
first of me.
Yeah.
Like I want to be the reference to other people. I don't want to be copying something. And when yo, and sometimes you're on stand-up show and you're the last one to go up and you see all those comedians
Hmm.
going on stage, and I'm like, it's completely different to anything I do, and everyone is laughing at the audience, and you might think like, will they like me too because I do something completely different? But when you realize that's exactly what you have to do, because nobody else can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once I was in a class and I saw this girl like doing, we had like improv class and everyone had to do the same scene, um, and I was watching, I was like, yo, nobody did it like I did. Nobody could do like I did. And it
Hmm.
was great. I
Yeah.
love it. So we have to start to feel comfortable like in our own skin. That's the best thing you can do. Not be like everybody else. That's
Yeah.
the best thing.
Yeah, I love that advice. And I got to ask last question. I'm going to throw this in here. Do you prefer opening for people, or do you prefer coming at the end of a lineup like what you just said? Do you like going in being like, okay, I got to warm everybody up, and this is the first one that they're
I go
hearing
in the middle.
in the middle?
But now, look, at the beginning, I used to hate to go last. Every time I would go last, I would bomb.
Hmm.
Every single time. Once I even did a show that, like, I did two shows in the same house. And the first show, I was one of the last ones, completely bombed. Second show, I was in the middle. I had like a standing ovation, like before clapping, going crazy. Same set, same day, one
Yeah.
hour difference, every single shit. And I was so scared. Like, it got me like in a point to be like, I cannot go at the end. I'm not good because
Yeah.
the audience is tired at the end.
Yeah.
They are drunk. They already ate. they laugh so much because I see myself as an audience when I go to stand-ups, even of my friends. At the beginning, you're laughing and laughing. At the end, even though you think it's funny, but you laugh like, huh.
Like, yeah, okay, let me get the check. Yeah,
Exactly, it's funny, but you don't even have energy anymore because you gave all of your energy during the show. But at some point, I was in this club, and the owner, he's a really good guy, and he was like, Bruna, that's the best moment for you to do whatever you want.
yeah,
Whatever. People are tired, like just do whatever you want. And I started to have this thing of me to have like the challenge of save the show.
mm,
I'm like, because at the end, all the comedians are going, most of the comedians bomb at the end. If you watch
yeah,
the show, like it's really difficult. And now I love the thing to go at the end and make the challenging, you know? So I
yeah.
love going at the end now. I don't see as a problem at all. But the best time to go, people, is in the middle. So if someone ever asks you, like, where you want to be at the lineup? Middle. Perfect.
Yeah. If you bomb, nobody's gonna remember because you're right dead set in the middle.
And
Perfect.
usually, like, everyone's happy in the middle. It's amazing, amazing.
Love it.
Best
Well,
moment.
thank you again so much for doing this and for taking the time. And I really do appreciate it. And I'm wishing you best of luck with everything you keep doing. And when the Netflix special happens, we'll be watching, cheering you on, and I look forward to see you go a little bit deeper on some of the no topics like religion. I'm excited to see that. So thanks again for jumping on.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I already have the name for the Netflix special. It's like Sorry Mom, Sorry Jesus is the name. But thank you so much, honestly. I love the interview. Thank you so much.